Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are excited to have you today. I know it's a nice day outside and some people take a walk at lunch, so we appreciate your attendance. I'd like to welcome you. My name is Terry Hecker. I'm MCW's Wellness and Benefits Consultant. And joining us today, we have Tim Shirk, who is from Francis Investment Counsel, and he's a certified financial planner. And he has done a lot of sessions for us. So some of you may be very familiar with Tim, and we love having him. I think you'll appreciate today's session on maximizing Social Security benefits. It's brought to you on behalf of Francis Investment Counsel and the Wellness Program. Just one housekeeping type item I want to mention to you. Everyone is muted upon entry. So if you do have questions, I ask that you use the Q&A section of your screen, which is on the lower right-hand side of your screen, and you can put questions in there, and we will address those towards the end of the session. And I'm going to hand it over to Tim, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Terry, can you hear me okay? All right, thanks. Hey, I certainly do appreciate your time and attention today, everybody. Thanks for spending some time with me. My job today is to help you understand a little bit more about your Social Security benefits and think in terms of what kind of planning opportunities you have when it comes to thinking about Social Security. You will notice that my email address is there, timothy.shirk@francisinvco.com. If you have any questions about this presentation, please feel free to email me as well. Otherwise, the Q&A, there's a great place to do it, and Terry can read those at the end of the presentation. So I really prefer meeting live. Some of you have been in some of my presentations before. I like to try to get some audience participation, some interaction. Not as able to do that when we're doing it remotely, but we're going to give it a try. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to ask you, if you would, to engage with this presentation. The way I'm going to encourage you to do that is to either join by web or by text. Now, I'm going to, throughout this presentation, I'll have occasional slides where I'm seeking your feedback. And you can provide me with feedback on the go by either opening a web browser, if you could do this without logging out of the meeting, and going to www.pollev.com, pollev.com. Once you go there, they're going to ask you for a meeting. Type in Timothy Shirk 857. That's my name, and 857. And you'll be linked to this meeting. Anytime a screen comes up with a question or request for feedback, you can type it right into your web browser, and it'll appear on the screen with everybody else's. Some folks find the cell phone a little bit more convenient. If you'd like to use a cell phone approach, text Timothy Shirk 857 to 22333. Once you do that, you'll get a confirmation text, and then whenever there's a question up on a slide, you can text in your answer, and it will be added to the rest of the responses. I suppose I should mention whatever your agreement is with your provider related to texting. This is all anonymous, so we won't keep your phone number or anything, but if there's a text charge as a part of your data plan for your cell phone, obviously that will apply as well. So if you missed these instructions, or if you weren't able to catch on, every slide that we're looking for feedback on will have the instructions up at the top. So let's see what this looks like. I'll go to the first question, open-ended question. When you think of Social Security, what one word comes to mind? When you think of Social Security, what one word comes to mind? So there we go. Someone's already figured it out. Depleted, complicated, money, yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're all figuring it out. Retirement, endangered. Notice there's a real mix of words here. I'm going to pause the timer to give you a little bit more time. Some are maybe more optimistic, thinking in terms of retirement and income. Some may be a little bit more pessimistic, unreliable, complicated, endangered. All right, so you could see a wide range of understandings. Is it going to be enough? That's a great question. Hopefully, it will help you figure out how much you can get and whether or not that'll be enough. So, with this open-ended question, you can answer as many times as you'd like. Throughout the presentation, I'll be doing some that are multiple choice, some that are true or false. And in that case, if you answer and you want to change your answer, just text in erase or undo, and it'll allow you to submit a new answer. All right, so I'm going to dive right in. What are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about the basics of Social Security first, and then we're going to talk about how to maximize Social Security benefits. So let's go ahead and start with a multiple choice question. OASDI is the type of tax, the OASDI tax that we pay when we pay our payroll tax. So I'm going to ask the question, multiple choice, what does OASDI stand for? If you think it's one's allowed security deserved income, text A, open automatic savings deposit income B, old age survivor disability insurance C, old adult special deposit income D. And now again, I'm going to pause the timer here to give you a little more opportunity to answer. If you want to change your answer, go ahead and text undo or erase, and they'll give you another shot. All right, we'll start the timer up again. All right, the winner is old age survivor disability insurance. Now, that is the correct answer. Okay, very good. I just tried to come up with some other ones that could compete. But, when you think about old age survivors disability insurance, most of us, when we get to around 65 years old, A, we don't consider ourselves old age, and we don't think in terms of disability. But this does cover not only retirement, but also disability, and if there's death, there's widow benefits and like. So this is, most of us think of this as just retirement, part of our retirement income. But there's a lot more to it than just a retirement benefit, and we'll go through some of that in this presentation. Now, some of you were probably thinking, in fact, during our open-ended question, some of you said depleted, at risk. The question is Social Security even going to be there for me? And as a financial planner, I'd say if you want to plan to not have it, that's fine. That's a very conservative approach. The answer is, though, I'm strongly convinced that it will be there. It just may look a little different. Social Security is not a pile of money that we're storing up for the future. It actually is a line item in the budget. This year, we pay through our OASDI taxes, our payroll taxes. We pay into the Social Security system, and this year, people drawing benefits draw benefits out. Historically, there's been much more coming in than has been required to pay out the benefits. And unfortunately, that money hasn't been saved up. It's just been spent elsewhere. What's happened is, as the baby boomers move into retirement, there's fewer and fewer people paying in and more people drawing benefits. It's just a reflection of the demographics. There are fewer Xers, my generation, than there are baby boomers, my parents' generation. So what's happening is, as fewer and fewer people are paying in and there's more and more demand, the projection is for there not to be enough income to cover the benefits. Now, if you looked at your last statement, they would have said, just in the fine print, just under where they tell you what your projection is, that if nothing changes based on current law, we will only be able to pay, and the last number I saw was 79 cents per dollar of what we've promised. Okay, so that would be what the reduction would be. So if you want to be cautious with Social Security, multiply what they're promising you by 0.79. Now, I've seen that as low as 0.74, and that was some years back. There's been a couple things that have changed. One thing that's changed is they've bumped up the Social Security wage base. So you only pay Social Security taxes on the first about $130,000 of the income that you earn. And that used to be down in the 116. So they're essentially drawing from a bigger pool. But there are a lot of other ways that this can be fixed. It can be fixed with a change in benefits. It can be fixed with a change in how much they charge in Social Security taxes. There are a lot of fixes that are more politically feasible, if I can use that word, than reducing your benefit. So if you want to be cautious, multiply what they're promising you times 0.75, but I'm pretty comfortable with planning for the Social Security that they're promising you. We may have to pay a higher tax to get there. So let's talk about Social Security basics. Okay, it'll be who is eligible, when are you eligible, what benefits can you expect, and how do you apply. All right, so let's talk about who is eligible. When you earn income in the United States, you start to build your eligibility. You earn credits for each $1,410 that you earn this year. You can earn a maximum of 4 credits in a year. So if you earn $5,640, you will earn 4 credits for this year. Once you've accumulated 40 credits, so that's about 10 years, you will be fully insured, meaning you will be eligible for a benefit. The way they calculate how much of a benefit you're eligible for is they take the top 35 years of income. So if you're younger and you haven't worked for 35 years, it will include a certain number of zeros. Every year that you earn money, you will replace a zero. Once you get to 35, then if you have another year where you earn more than you did in the previous year, you will drop off the lower income. This is inflation adjusted, so it is possible that a year 10 years ago where you didn't make as much in terms of real dollars as you made this year, but as on an inflation adjusted basis, it may have been more. That year may have been a higher earning year. So top 35 years of income. Once you've completed 35 years, you'll have no more zeros, but continuing to work will allow you to include higher income years. So that's who's eligible. When are you eligible? Well, you're first eligible at 62, and they consider this early retirement. Benefits can start, but you'll get less each benefit check. Additionally, if you start early, they will reduce how much you receive in benefits if you exceed income limits. If you're still working and you exceed income limits, we're going to go into that a lot deeper in a couple of slides. So 62 is the first year, years old is the first year that you can get at that normal retirement benefit. Now, the next big year is somewhere between 65 and 67. That will be full retirement age for you. It depends on when you were born. And if you find the year that you were born in that left-hand column, you can see what your full retirement age is. If you were born after 1960, your full retirement age is 67. All right. Now, full retirement age, that's the year at which they do the math for your full benefit. So if you start drawing benefits at that full retirement age, you will be receiving a full benefit. If you start early, you'll be receiving a reduced benefit. But if you wait beyond that full retirement age, they'll give you a delayed retirement credit. So your benefit will keep getting bigger and bigger. So starting at 62, you can start to draw, and it will get bigger and bigger. Your benefit will get bigger and bigger the longer you delay starting until you get to age 70. All right? So the real big change in terms of your full retirement age is when you're no longer penalized for working. Otherwise, if you keep delaying, you'll keep seeing a bigger and bigger benefit promised to you. At 70 years old, there's no longer any benefit to delaying. You will no longer receive a delayed retirement credit. So how valuable is it to wait? Well, monthly benefits increase by how much annually if you delay your collecting benefits? And this is specifically beyond full retirement age. I'll pause it just a little bit here, give you a chance to answer. But there's a similar reduction if you draw early. So how much will your benefits increase annually if you delay collecting? All right. And it looks like the winner is 8%, and that is the correct answer. Good for you. Smart group. All right. So every year that you delay after full retirement age, you can expect an 8% bigger benefit check. So let's see what this might look like. This man's name is Tom Fuller. His full retirement age is 66. And when you get your statement, or if you go online and you log in, you'll see a monthly benefit projection for 62 years old, for full retirement age, and for 70. By the way, we used to get Social Security statements annually, and they stopped doing that now. You can now log in and you can set up a login ID and password at ssa.gov. That's a Social Security Administration website. And you can easily check at any time what your benefit will be. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. There's also a little bit faster way to estimate your benefits. So so you'll be given three benefits: 62, 66, and 70, and these are in today's dollars. What does that mean? That means if he starts drawing at 66 years old, he'll receive $900 of benefits. Now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that's going to be a bigger number, but it'll buy the same amount of bread, milk, and cookies that $900 buys today. All right, so the numbers you see are today's numbers. They will be inflated with inflation. All right, so who else is eligible for Social Security? Well, the worker is. He qualifies for his own benefit or half of his spouse's benefit, whichever is higher. So enter Tom's spouse, Sheila. Sheila's full retirement age is also 66, but she's got a higher income for the top 35 years, so she has a higher benefit projected at 66 of $2,200. Now, if she draws early, it'll be a reduced benefit of $1,576. If she waits till 70, she'll get that delayed retirement credit up to $2,993. So if we combine the two, if they take their own benefit, Tom's benefit at 66 is $900. Sheila's benefit at 66 is $2,200. They would have a total of $3,100. But because Tom's benefit is less than half of Sheila's, Tom can claim his spouse benefit of $1,100. So they actually have a total of $3,300. Okay? So Tom can take half of Sheila's because half of Sheila's is more than his own. That does not impact Sheila's benefit. All right? So Sheila still gets $2,200. And this really is to protect, working spouse or spouses that stay home, raise kids, that kind of thing. They may not have the career opportunity that the working spouse has. Now, in addition to your spouse, there may be some other folks that are eligible for benefits. Who else is eligible for benefits under your earnings history? Your child, your first ex-spouse, your most recent ex-spouse, all of the above, or none of the above. And again, I'm going to pause the time here to give you a little bit of time to think about it. All right, looks like we're getting there. Start the timer again, and if you want to undo an answer, text undo, and they'll give you the chance to answer again. All right, so 93% of you said all of the above. That is the correct answer. For the 7% of you that said your child, that too is correct. So nobody was actually wrong, but all of the above is a little bit better answer. All right, so who can qualify under your accounts? Well, first of all, children who are under 18 years old or up to 19 if they're still in high school, and if you're collecting. All right, I'm not collecting at this point, so my 13-year-old and my 17-year-old are not eligible for a benefit. But were I 63 years old and collecting benefits, they would be eligible for a benefit under my earnings history. So their daughter, Tom and Sheila's daughter, is Sienna. She qualifies for half of the worker's full retirement age benefit. Okay, so remember, Sheila's got the bigger one. Hers was $2,200, so the monthly benefit for Sienna, the daughter, would be $1,100 until she's 18 or out of high school. So we've got the worker, we've got the spouse, we've got the child, and we have divorced spouses if they're age 62 or older. They qualify as a spouse if the marriage lasted 10 years or longer, and if they are not remarried. Okay? So if you've been married for 10 years or longer, you qualify under someone else's working history. Now, if I were married to 4 different people for 10 years each, yes, all 4 of them would qualify if they remain unmarried. So you can see how this can be played a little bit, right? You can see how many people can be included under my benefits. So I'm going to introduce you to this character. This is Sheila's ex, Frank. Okay, Frank, their marriage lasted 11 years. His full retirement age is also 66. His monthly benefit is $800, and he remains unmarried. So he actually, because he's unmarried, he qualifies for the benefit of one half of Sheila's. Sheila's is $2,200. So as an ex-spouse, he is eligible for $1,100. Sheila does not know that he has applied, and it does not impact Sheila's benefit. All right?
Tim, we have a question before we move to the next section that I think might be helpful to answer here. The question is, will Tom's Social Security continue to grow if he claims half of Sheila's?
Okay, so that's a great question. We're going to talk about some claiming strategies. That is a strategy that he could have claimed a couple years ago, but can no longer claim. There is one way that you can coordinate that. He can claim his own and then claim his spouse's when Sheila files for benefits. But at this point, we're going to go into a little bit more. There's something called the deeming rule. When you apply for Social Security benefits, you are deemed to have applied for the biggest benefit. All right? I think that'll be a little bit clearer. And when we talk about strategies, if it's not, bring it up again as an opportunity to discuss further. All right? It's a great question. Whoever asked it, thank you. Keep those coming. All right, so a couple things to think about. Number one, if you collect Social Security and continue to work, there will be a reduction. All right? If you are under your full retirement age, so full retirement age is 66, Tom is 62 or 63, you will have $1 of benefits withheld for every $2 of earnings you make above the limit. The limit this year is $18,240 a year. The year that you reach retirement age, that limit goes to $48,600, and you are reduced $1 of benefits for every $3 you make above the limit. Now, there is an earnings test calculator. I've got it listed there, ssa.gov. You can see the notes there. Copy it down if you'd like. There's also a special first-year rule. Let me make a comment on the Social Security Administration website. If you've ever been to irs.gov and felt like it's in Latin, there's a reason. Okay, it's written for tax advisors and attorneys. The Social Security Administration's website, and frankly, their local office, is designed for Joe average people like you and me. All right? So if you go to their website, they've got a lot of really great publications that will spell this out in plain English. And if you actually meet with someone at the SSA website or at their office, local office, they will speak to you in English. So I would encourage you, do not hesitate to go to ssa.gov and search for some of this information. It's very valuable. There is an earnings test calculator, so you can plug in what your earnings will be this year, and it'll tell you what the reduction will be. There's also a special first-year rule. In the first year, and you can do this once, typically it's the first year, you can do this once. If there's a year where you retire mid-year, and as a result, your income for the first portion of the year was going to be too much, and you'd have a reduced benefit, the rule is in that year, you can get a full benefit each month that you are not working. And there's an income level that they use to define not working. It's a pretty low income level. So there is that one exception. And again, there's more detail at publication EN-05-10069. Now, true or false? The loss of benefits due to earning too much income while drawing benefits is lost for life and will never be recouped. Is that true or is that false? Again, I'm going to pause the timer here to give you a chance to a little bit more time to answer. Start the timer back up. Looks like most of us are saying false. A little moment here. All right. So 93% said false. Very good. It is false. For the 7% of you that said true, there's probably a reason, and that is because there are some benefits that you can lose forever. If you start drawing a benefit early, the reduction you have because you started early, that lasts forever. If you start at 62 or 63 years old, you'll have a reduced benefit. But if you make too much money and as a result your benefit is reduced, that will be recouped when they recalculate your benefit at full retirement age. So I tell people, if you're drawing Social Security and you love working and you're afraid to earn too much, don't worry about it. Work as much as you want. Earn as much as you want. All it will do is give you a higher benefit once you get to full retirement age. All right? Now, there's one more thing to think about, and that is taxes. How are these things taxed? Well, your first dollar of Social Security is not taxable. But as your provisional income increases, it hits two brackets where a tax is applied. Now, provisional income, they make you do a little bit of math. When you're retired, when you're drawing Social Security benefits, they have you take your adjusted gross income, add in any non-taxable interest, and add in half of your Social Security benefit. Those things put together is what's called provisional income. If that provisional income is under $25,000, none of your Social Security benefit will be included in your ordinary income tax. If it exceeds $25,000 single person through $34,000 single person, 50% of your benefit will be included as taxable income. If it's over $34,000, 85% will be included as ordinary income. So it's not a 50% tax rate, it's not an 85% tax rate. That's how much of your Social Security benefit is included. Married filing jointly, you can see the brackets there are over 32 and over 44. Now, Roth distributions don't count as income. So if you're saving in a Roth IRA or Roth 401k, that money's not included. So one of the tax strategies of having a Roth is I'm going to limit my pre-tax distributions to where my pre-tax distributions plus half of my Social Security benefits stays under that $32,000 threshold. That will, and then I'll draw the rest out of Roth. That'll keep my Social Security benefit from becoming taxable as income. Great tax conversation to have with a tax advisor, but just another reason why the Roth is a beneficial for a savings tool. Mentioned you can check your benefits. One way is there on the left. Go to My Social Security, set up a login ID and password. You can log in and check what your benefit's going to be. Or if you do Retirement Estimator, they'll ask you for your information, your name, your mother's maiden name, what state you were born in, your Social Security number, birth date. They will use your earnings history, and they'll give you an estimate for what your benefit will be. Again, both of those are pretty easy to do. So, go to SSA.gov and give it a try. You'll find it's pretty easy to find your benefits. Let's talk about strategies for maximizing the benefit. Okay, and if you wanted to really maximize your Social Security benefit, if you want to know what the best strategy would be, the first thing that you would need to know would be when you're going to pass away. And unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, none of us knows that day, right? That would be awkward, living with a day where you knew you were going to die. So not knowing when you're going to pass away gives you some uncertainty in terms of what benefit or which strategy was most beneficial. So we'll talk about a couple of them though. One strategy is just simply to delay taking benefits. Remember, the longer you delay, the bigger the benefit will be all the way up to age 70. But let's take an example of a person here who's got full retirement age of 66, and if they were to choose to draw at 62, you can see they draw a $1,500 benefit, and that's the blue bar. Notice that that blue bar does get bigger year over year. It does so because of inflation. Your Social Security benefit is adjusted due to inflation. But notice if this person delayed until 66 years old, they would have a bigger benefit. Instead of $1,656, it would be $2,208. And notice that increased benefit stays in place throughout the rest of his life. Now, in this case, he has a break-even age. The break-even age generally hovers around 80 years old. The break-even age is the age at which, if you live past that age, it would be beneficial to draw later and have fewer checks but bigger checks. If you pass away before that age, again, somewhere around 80 years old, if you passed away before that age, you would have benefited from drawing early but having a smaller benefits check. And if we knew we would know which would be best. Sometimes what I encourage folks to do, if you're married, diversify the chance that you're not going to outlive that age by having one draw early and one draw later. So that's the first one, delay taking benefits. The second is coordinating spousal benefits. And we already talked about this, but we'll go to a true or false question. As a result of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015, you can no longer file for your own benefit, then switch to your spousal benefit later. Is that true or false? Text A for true, B for false. And you're trying to remember, what did Tim say? What did Tim say? Go ahead and restart the timer here for time's sake. 10 more seconds. Okay, and the answer is false. Okay, you can file for your own benefit and then switch to your spousal benefit later, but there are some qualifications. All right, and then we'll talk about some of the rules that did go away in a couple of slides. So here are the ground rules when it comes to spousal benefits. Number one, you cannot collect spousal benefit until the worker, who is your spouse, files for their own benefit. Okay, so if in Tom's case, he cannot file until for spousal benefit until Sheila files. Now, if you're divorced, like Frank can file even if Sheila has not. So the divorced spouse does not have to wait for their ex-spouse to file. Second, spousal benefit will be reduced if you collect before full retirement age, just like your own benefit would be, but there is no delayed retirement credit. So spousal benefit will be the lowest at 62 and will increase until 67, and then at 67, there's no advantage to delaying the spousal benefit. So one strategy is have one spouse wait to collect. Let's see what this looks like. Here we have Tom and Sheila. Tom is going to choose to take his benefit at 62 years old. That's $645. And that's a smaller benefit, but he gets to take it now. So he gets some smaller benefits checks from 62 until Sheila collects. Sheila is going to collect at 70 years old. So her benefit's going to be $2,993. Now Tom is going to switch to his spousal benefit, which is half of Sheila's primary insurance amount, PIA. That's her full retirement age amount, $2,200. So when Sheila starts collecting, Tom can now collect his spousal benefit of $1,100. Okay? So by having Sheila delay, her benefit gets bigger, and then Tom can ultimately take his own spousal benefit when Sheila switches, or when Sheila starts drawing. Now, what happens if Sheila then dies? Does the benefit of waiting until she's 70 to get a bigger amount, does that go away? And the answer is no. Surviving spouses, like in this case Tom, can collect on the deceased worker's record if married for at least 9 years, and the survivor receives 100% of the full benefit at full retirement age, and they can collect at a reduced benefit as early as 60 years old. So if you are a widow or a widower, you can collect on your deceased spouse's record starting as early as 60 years old. That's 2 years older than you can usually draw from Social Security. It will be a reduced amount, and it will be 100% of the full benefit at full retirement age. So what does this look like? Tom's full retirement age at 66 is $900. Sheila, remember, she delayed till 70, so she's receiving $2,993. If Sheila passes away, Tom gets the higher of those two. In this case, he would receive $2,993. And there is, Social Security does have a really nice survivor's benefit packet that explains all of the survivor benefits, all the ins and outs. I would encourage you to just go to ssa.gov, search for survivor benefits. That'll be the first thing that pops up. All right. So collecting survivor benefits. Divorced spouses can claim the survivor benefit if the marriage lasted for 10 years. Okay? I've talked to participants who got divorced, to savers who got divorced 9.5 years into their marriage. Okay? If you're thinking about a divorce, keep this in the mix. All right? If you can last it out for another 6 months, 10 years is what you have to get to in order to be able to claim. If you're entitled, if you're a ex-spouse, if you're entitled to your own, like Frank, and a survivor benefit, you can begin to collect one and then switch to the other at a later date. So you still have that flexibility. If you remarry after 60 years old, it will not affect your survivor's benefit. So if you're an ex-spouse, you have to stay unmarried until you claim benefits in order to claim that survivor benefit. But after 60 years old, it will not impact your benefit claim. So remember this guy? If Sheila lives, his ex-spouse benefit is $1,100. Okay, now remember his own personal benefit was $800, so he's getting a bigger benefit because he's getting half of Sheila's. If Sheila were to pass away as an ex-spouse, he would now be eligible for $2,200, the full benefit from Sheila. Okay, please don't ask me why. All right, it's just the way the rules are written. In order to cover all the possible situations where someone might need to be covered who didn't have income because of their marriage situation, this is how it has to be. All right. Now, true or false? Next question. As a result of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015, the claiming strategy file and suspend is no longer available. Is that true or false? All right. And you are unanimous. It is absolutely true. File and suspend is no longer available for most of you. There may be someone it's available for still, but let me explain what this was. In file and suspend, the higher wage earner, in this case Sheila, she applies at full retirement age but suspends her benefit. So she signs up and files for benefits, but she says, don't give them to me yet. What that does, that allows the lower wage earner to start taking his spousal benefit right away. In this case, it would be Tom. Also, it allows Sheila's benefit to continue to grow. Because she suspended her benefit gets bigger and bigger. Then, when Sheila turns 70, she takes her own bigger benefit. Now, this is no longer allowed unless you were at full retirement age before April 30th of 2016. So that may apply to you if you were already full retirement age. The other strategy that went away was the restricted application. And what this looked like was at full retirement age, so she at 66, a wage earner restricts their benefit only to spousal benefit. So Sheila could have, at 66, restricted her benefit to just what she would receive as being a spouse of Tom. Tom's benefit was $900, she would receive $450. That's not much, but what that allows her to do is start taking a small check now, and then when she got to 70 years old, her benefit would keep getting bigger and bigger, and she can take her own. Now, because of the new deeming rule, when Sheila claims benefits, she is deemed to claim the highest benefit. So if her own benefit is higher than her spousal benefit, she's no longer able to do this, unless she was born before 1954. So if she's born before 1954, this is still a possibility. All right, where do we learn more? I mentioned this before, www.ssa.gov. This is a website it's worth going to, it's worth looking at. Their material there is presented very well. They actually use colors and they actually use simple words, all right? Unlike, say, the IRS.gov, all right? Or you can call them 800-722-1213, or, and I would encourage you to do this, visit a local office, especially if there's something unique about your situation. You're a widower or you're a widow, you're an ex-spouse, and you might have one or two other people whose benefits you may be under, disability, something else like that. Go visit the local office and actually talk to them. The people that work there, not like the DMV. The DMV folks are great, but they're just overtaxed. The lines are long, and they're trying to get you in and out. The Social Security Administration, it will be a worthwhile visit. I know they're trying to direct folks online, and online works for most of us, but if you've got a unique situation, do not hesitate to call them and set up a meeting, especially if you have an ex-spouse or something like that. So I'm going to land on this slide. This slide does have my email address there, timothy.shirk@francisinvco.com. Please feel free to write that down. If you have a question related to anything I said today, I'm happy to reply to that question. And then Terry's going to go through some of the questions that may appear in the question and answer. But let me just say thank you, everybody, for your time and attention today. I appreciate it. And those of you who aren't going to stick around, have a great day.
Thanks, Tim. We do have a couple of questions. The first one is, does military retirement count as income for income earnings when receiving benefits? So they're asking about military retirement counting or not. Okay,
so boy, you are asking the wrong advisor. For our other four advisors all have military experience. The answer is if they withheld the OASDI tax from it, it would. So I would go back and check with the VA folks, maybe Veterans Administration folks, or go back and look at pay stubs. If they withheld the OASDI, then it would. But I'm not prepared. If that person would like to give me an email address, I'll go hunt that down, and I'll give them an answer. Is that all right?
Great. Yeah. And you can email, obviously, Tim, if you'd like to, or you can also email me or at wellness@mcw.edu, and I can coordinate as well. I'm happy to do that. Next question is, does a pension count as income in the calculation? So it's pension related.
It does. It does. So what you receive from the pension will be part of your adjusted gross income, and then anything you draw from your 401k and or your 403b, anything that you earn working will be included in that provisional income.
Okay. Okay, and then
I should mention one other thing though, in case it wasn't clear. I'm not a tax advisor. All right. So if you're going to have tax advice, related to doing the math on the provisional income, I'll give you my best answer, but you need to talk to a qualified tax advisor for tax advice.
Okay. This question, I'm not sure if I'm getting it right, but I will do my best to understand it. It's related to a child. So if there is a child and one spouse is alive, but the other spouse has passed away, is there some type of benefit for that child?
Yeah, so a child would have a survivor benefit. So if the surviving spouse, so I'm just going to assume for a moment that dad has passed away and mom is still living, assuming that that child is under 18 or still going to school, the mom receives a survivor benefit, and the child will receive a survivor benefit of 1/2 of what I believe that will be 1/2. There is a benefit though. So if you are not receiving that, and that is your situation, you definitely want to talk to the Social Security Administration office right away. I want to see if I've got that. Yeah, so the widow or widower will receive a benefit as long as they will receive it as long as they have the child who is still in school or under 18, and they can start to receive it at 60 years old, and then the child can receive it until they are 18 or 19 and still in school, and then they will lose theirs unless the child happens to be disabled. and then there's an ongoing benefit for both the child and the widow/widower.
Okay. Let me just double check here. Okay. If a surviving spouse realizes they are not receiving the higher benefit, is there a deadline for having this adjusted?
So the surviving spouse is already drawing Social Security, and they are not currently receiving the highest benefit. All right. So where this would be a situation would be if you are old enough that you were grandfathered into the old strategies, including file and suspend or file and restrict, because since then, if you've applied, you will have been deemed to have been taken the biggest one. So I'm assuming the person asking this question is already in retirement and old enough to be grandfathered in. There should not be a deadline. I would contact Social Security Administration office and just say, help me understand, am I taking my biggest benefit? But if you are grandfathered in, it may benefit you to continue taking that smaller benefit until you get to 7 years old. So if you're taking a spousal benefit and it's smaller and you've been grandfathered into that strategy, it may benefit you to let your own benefit grow until you hit 70. So I think I understood that question correctly. I'm believing it is for a person who's already in retirement or been grandfathered into that opportunity. There is not a deadline.
Okay. Another question. Because of the COVID recovery, MCW employees had to take a pay cut, and there is no guarantee it will be returned to, I'm assuming their salary level, to pre-COVID pay. Will the Social Security benefit now be lower because of this lower income amount? So the pay cut at this time, there isn't a definite return to the prior pay level. So I don't, that may be a factor.
So the income that you will receive, the projection you have, will not be lower than it is today. Okay, there's nothing that you're going to do that will lower your projection. What's being projected right now is what you've accrued. But if you have a lower income, your projection will not grow as it otherwise would have. Does that make sense? So by having a lower income, by adding a lower year's income, you are not going to reduce your benefit, but had you added that larger benefit or that larger income, your benefit would have been bigger. So it will reduce the end result, but it won't reduce what you're being projected right now. Is that clear?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think it makes sense. We'll hopefully, if someone has a additional clarification, they can put it in the Q&A. As far as the surviving spouse and receiving the highest benefit and that deadline, they said you were spot on in that answer and answered the question.
Wonderful.
So thank you for that. As of right now, that's the last of the questions that we have. So I'm just going to quickly double check to those. Yes, it looks like.
Well, while you're checking, let me just, say, I can't stress enough how valuable for the person asking about surviving spouse or I don't have the biggest benefit or whatever, how valuable a trip to the SSA office would be. They'll run scenarios for you. So if you say, if I keep taking this lower benefit and wait and retire at 70, what would my benefit be? And they can help you with that. They won't tell you what to do, but they can certainly give you numbers. So, yeah.
Okay. Great advice. That is all the questions we have right now. So if you think of another question that you'd like to ask Tim, again, you have Tim's email. You can also email, if you misplace that or forget that, you can email wellness@mcw.edu and I can connect you or provide you his email address, and you know, hopefully that can get you where you need to be. I just want to mention we do have 2 additional retirement mini series sessions coming in July. We have one regarding Medicare on July 16th at noon. You can register at the wellness events calendar for that as well. And then how will the recent tax changes affect your retirement is a session on July 21st. And those are part of this retirement mini series. So if you're interested in those, you can sign up at the through the wellness events calendar, just like you did with this one. You can add it to your calendar, set a reminder for yourself. Our new calendaring system works pretty slick. So those are the sessions coming up. And we also have next Thursday a couple of sessions through Transamerica regarding retirement, the retirement plan and the CARES Act. What your options are on, you know, if you are in a situation financially where you need a small amount, they always recommend take, you know, as little as possible. We have sessions next Thursday, June 25th at 8:30, noon, and 4, and they're 30 minutes. They're very brief, but kind of explain what your options are. So if you have any questions about any of those events, I'm happy to help with that as well. So Tim, any last minute thoughts?
No, just thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone. This session it was recorded, so we hope to have that available and out on the 403B site and the financial wellness site within about a week. So if you would like to watch it again or share the video with a spouse, etc., the recording, we're happy that you do that. So thanks for joining us and have a wonderful afternoon.